Hey, what's up everybody? This is Zach. Today I am redoing a previous tutorial I had done on a PHP 7 and a MySQL login. So I'm going to redo that. I'm going to make the security a little bit stronger, a lot stronger. And I'm also going to add an admin area. So let's get into it. So I've already created 4 files here. I've got index, register, connect, and dashboard, and all of those have the .php extensions. So the first thing I want to do is I want to set up the database that we're going to be using. So let's go into phpMyAdmin. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new database, and we're going to call that login. And let's go ahead and create that. And the table name, we'll call that users. And number of columns. So let's see. We need these 6 pieces of information. So we actually need 7 columns. And I'll explain the 7th in 1 second here. Okay, so we said first name, last name, username, password, email, and admin. So we'll call this F name, L name for last name, U name, PWD, email, and admin. Now this one up top, this is going to be our ID. So we want to auto increment that. So go ahead and check that little AI box and hit go. So that is also our primary key. And so basically what that's going to do, change that to put ID in there. Basically what that's going to do is it's going to count up every time a new user registers. Okay, so the type, we're fine with integer here. First name, we want a varchar, and I'm going to limit them to 25 on all of these except for ID. We're going to leave that alone. We're not going to touch that. So except for ID, and password and admin, they're all going to be 25. Password is going to be 60. No more, no less, 60. Email, 25. And admin, we'll come back to that. So we're going to change all of these to varchar. And admin, we're going to leave as integer. Default, we're going to change that to as defined. We're going to put that as 0 because we don't want people to automatically be an admin. So we're going to go ahead and hit save. And we have now created our database. Now if we hit browse, there's nothing in there, obviously. So let's go ahead and get into it. The first thing that I want to do is let's go into the connect.inc.php and let's create the connection to the database. So go ahead and open and close your PHP tags. And I'm going to call this variable, so $sign is a variable in PHP. I'm going to call that con, C-O-N-N. Con equals at, and I'll explain that in a second, MySQLi underscore connect. The little brackets there, and we need 4 of those, 4 like single quotes, or die, brackets and single quotes. Now in here, this is going to be an error message if it fails to connect to the database. So I'm going to put something like couldn't, so connect to the database. Please try again later. When you're echoing out PHP, you can actually add in HTML. So I'm going to create a line break here. Also, if you're going to do one of those, a single quote. All right, sorry about that, guys. When you're a computer nerd and a pretty girl texts you, you stop coding and you respond. Anyways, let's get back to it. When you're, if you want to put a like a colon in here or whatever, I think that's what that's called. You put a backslash because otherwise, if you didn't, you just ended your code. So you want to put the backslash first, and then that tells it that, hey, this is not code. So quick tip there, and we'll go ahead and put our semicolon. And so the first parameter here is the server we're connecting to. So in my case, it's localhost. So you can either type in localhost, or you can type in 127.0.0.1. I think I named mine admin, and I hope I named it password. And then the final one is the database that we are connecting to. So we named this database login. Okay, so now what we can do is we can hit save. 127.0.0.1 / connect.inc.php, and we didn't get any errors. I had that in there because I actually had to troubleshoot something very briefly. So now if we were to change this to a different username, we would get this error. Couldn't connect to the database, please try again later, with a nice little line break in there. So that is why the @ symbol is in front of MySQL Connect. If we were to get rid of that, we're getting way more information than we want the user to have. Access denied for you. Yeah, you get it. So we'll leave that @ symbol in there, and we will go ahead and change this back to just admin. And error is gone. Perfect. Okay, so we're successfully connected to the database. Now let's go ahead and start with our register .php. Actually, on second thought, let's start with our index, our login form. So let's go ahead and open and close our PHP tags. And then we're going to go ahead and create our HTML. Now I'm using Sublime Text Editor. This has some really neat features that autocomplete a lot for you. When you're first learning to code, I don't suggest you use autocomplete features. I think it's really good to use the muscle memory and learn how to code all of this on your own. But for the sake of time, I'm going to do this. Okay, so we're going to name this login. And we're going to go ahead and work on the HTML first. So we're going to go ahead and open up our form. So form action. Your action is going to be whatever page, whatever you named this file. So index.php. That is the page that's going to process the action. Method is going to be post. And I'll show you the difference between post and get here in a minute. And so we're done with that for right now. And now we need to create, what did we decide? Users, browse, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We need to create 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 7. Because we want to have them confirm their password. So 7 inputs. 8, excuse me, for submit. So input times 8. And we're going to go ahead and change. We're going to add in name and placeholder and a line break into all of these. Okay, so this is going to be first name, last name, username, password, email. Yeah, I added one too many. Okay, that's cool. Okay, so let's get started here. So we can change, let's see. So first name, last name, username. So this is going to be password, and this is going to be password. Name is going to be pwd1 and pwd2. And the placeholder, whatever you put in the name is what the PHP script is going to be grabbing from. So placeholder, we're going to name this password. And this one will be re-enter password. Okay, so let's go back up to the top here. Name on this one is going to be fname. Placeholder will be first name. This one will be last name, so lname. Placeholder will be last. I was going to do lname again, last name. This one is username, so we can leave that as text. The name will be uname. placeholder, of course, username. And guys, you can put whatever you want in the placeholder. It doesn't have to be what I'm doing here. The most important part of this is that the name, whatever you put as the name, absolutely has to match the PHP. Okay, username. So password, enter password again. This is going to be email, so we're going to change this type to email. The name will be email, and the placeholder will be email. And the final input will just be submit. So now, if we go to our index page, it should come up with our form. Yep, okay. I had a question in the comments about the placeholder earlier, and so right here where it says first name, that's the placeholder. And actually I want to add one more line break before the submit just to make it look a little nicer. There we go. And actually let's add one there as well. Bring that down just a little bit. We can do something like h3 login, end your h3 tag. And yeah, now let's get rid of that line break. Kind of like that. Okay, perfect. So looks like crap, super basic, but we're getting somewhere. So now we need to come up to our PHP tags and we need to require single quotes connect.inc.php. Now we need to tell the PHP script to check and see if all of this information has been set. So really quick before I get into that, let me show you the difference between post and get methods in HTML. So let's see, uname equals $_post bracket, like the square bracket, single quote, uname, and we will echo that out. So it hasn't been set yet, which is why it's saying it's undefined. So we'll type in Zach. Submit. Now it says Zach. So notice up here we don't see anything. It's just index.php. So if we were to change this to get, and absolutely do not do this for a login form, it should always be post. So if we were to change the method to get, and we were to change this to $_get username, reload it, and what is that about in line 4? Username, oh, that's why. $2 signs, no good. Okay, now if we were to do it again and hit submit, now we have all of this information coming up. So that's the difference between post and get. Post, you don't know. They can't see it in the URL. Get, they can. So let's change that back to post. _post. And post. Save, refresh. Oh, 127. Undefined, that is fine. We'll get rid of that error in a minute. Okay, it's all good. Awesome. Okay, so now we need to create an if statement checking to see if the information is set. If it is, we'll set our variables and tell it to check that the passwords match and tell it to make sure that the username doesn't exist in the database. So here's what we do. If brackets is set $_post square bracket single quote f name and is set $_post L name. Now I'm going to get a little lazy. I'm just going to copy this. Yeah, I'm going to get lazy here. And then, so we need a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those. So we have 2, so 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So let's see, first name, so L name, last name, U name, PWD1, PWD2, and finally email. now we're going to do our braces, and basically it's saying if all of this is true, do this, do whatever's in here. So we're just going to have this echo, it's all there. Okay, so that won't show up. Now we shouldn't get any errors. So we'll do a at a.com, and hopefully it'll say it's all there. Uh-oh.
Okay, Houston, we've had a problem here.
This is Houston. Say again, please.
Houston, we've had a problem.
Let's see. abcdef@f.com. Okay, cool. So it's all there. So basically my screw up was the down here in the HTML. That's why it's super important to make sure that you get that right, because you're calling it by name in the PHP. So now that we know all that is working, we can go ahead and get rid of all the echoes. And we can redo that line of code, put that back in there. I deleted my that thing, so okay, cool. So all that is there. However, I was not done with that. So now we need to, before this last curly thing here, or last that thing, we need to make sure all of these are not empty. So and not empty $_post. So we're going to go through all of those. Again, I think there were 6 of them. You know what? I screwed up. There we go. Okay, here we go. And not empty. There we go. First name. So F name. L name. U name. PWD1. PWD2. And email. And we will have it echo these again if all of that is true. Zach S, username Zach11, password will be password2, and email at email.com. Submit. Zach. Yep. Zach. Okay, cool. It's all there. Awesome. Okay, so now we have created all of our variables, and we are going to make sure that the 2 passwords match. So we're going to create another if statement within all of this. So if pwd1 equals pwd2, now this is where the rest of our code goes. Else echo single quotes or double, whatever you want, your passwords didn't, don't forget to escape that, match. So so Zach S, username Zach, password, we'll say password and password 2, email at email.com, submit. Okay, so your passwords didn't match and it stops us in our tracks. Now let's work on the code, what happens if it does match. So now what we need to do is we need to grab some information from Mysql. So we want to check now and make sure that the username doesn't exist. So what we're going to do is we're going to go We're going to create a variable called getInfo. So $getInfo equals double quotes. When you're doing an SQL statement, double quotes. Select star from users where actually select star from users is fine, and your semicolon, results or res equals mysqli underscore query, brackets, and this takes two variables. The first one is the connection to the database, so $con, and put a separate them by comma, and then the get info. Row equals, we actually probably technically don't need that, but whatever. I already typed it. mysqli underscore fetch underscore assoc, brackets, and this takes one argument, which is going to be res. Okay, so now we need to create another if statement. If yeah, actually, we need to change this to we need to specify a where in here. So select star from users where uname equals single quotes $uname. There we go. Okay, so now let's come down here and we'll do another if statement. If mysqli underscore num underscore rows, brackets, res greater than 0, the brackets, echo that username is taken. Okay, let's make sure we don't have any errors. Let's go ahead and add a user into here named Zach. First name Zach. Actually, we'll just say Z for now. Last name S. Username Zach. Password. Email at email.com. And I'm going to go ahead and make myself an admin just for fun. Hit go. Okay, so now if we hit browse, we have a user in here. So the uname is Zach. So now if I were to try to do this, it should tell me that it already exists. Yep, that username is taken. So now if we were to try something different, Z, password, email at email, it should just reload. Yep, perfect. Okay, so everything is working well so far. So basically what we've done so far here is we're checking if this statement is true, and this statement is true, do this. So yeah, I kind of screwed that up the way I was trying to say it. Anyways, okay, so now that we have made sure the passwords match and make sure that the username is not taken, let's go ahead and create an else statement. Else. We're going to create a variable called SQL. SQL equals double quotes because it's a SQL command. Insert into, not info, into users, and we need to put in what we named everything in here. So we're going to go fname, comma. Now these don't need brackets or excuse me, like quotes or anything around them for this part. So it just needs commas. So fname, lname, uname, pwd, and email. You do not need to put any ID into this. That's done automatically. Now if you want to specify admin in here, you can, but I suggest you do that later differently. When we get into the admin panel, we can work with that. Okay, values in capitals, values. Now, this is where everything is in quotes. Okay, so F name, L name, U name, PWD1, and email. We don't need PWD2. So before this, we actually want to do one thing though. So we need to hash the password. And to do that, we already have our get info for the database. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and we're going to add some information to the PWD1 variable. So PWD1 equals password underscore hash, the brackets, and it's going to be PWD1, and it's going to be, actually we need 3 pieces of information in here. PWD1, I'm going to use password bcrypt, so password underscore bcrypt, and finally I'm going to specify the cost or how secure the password is. So we're going to create an array in here, so array and single quotes, cost, and then we're going to do greater than, or excuse me, equal to or greater than, we'll say 12, and basically that determines how hard your computer is going to work to hash that, or your server. Okay, so now that that's done, PWD1, okay, awesome. So now that we've hashed the password, we're going to come down here and we're going to create another if statement. If not, so basically if something goes wrong, MySQLi underscore query con for a connection variable, and then SQL. Echo, there was a problem. Else, header, capital L on location, dashboard, .php, and actually before the header we need to set our function. So okay, actually I made a mistake here. We're in the index file creating the registration page. That's okay, we'll copy and paste. So in this case what we'll do is we'll change the location to index.php, and also we're going to have to change this to register.php, and that should be okay. So we're going to go ahead and paste that into register.php and save it. Let's delete that. And let's go to register.php. I promise I know what I'm doing. Okay, so we have an error on line 29. Let's take a look at line 29. There's the problem. What the hell is... Oh, okay. There's no semicolon. Yep, there we go. Okay, so this should insert the user now, if we did this right. So let's go ahead and empty the database. So when we hit browse, there's nothing in there. Okay, cool. So we're gonna rename this, the title, to register, and the H3, same thing. Cool. So first name Zach, last name is S. Username, I'll just call myself Zach on here. Password is going to be password password, and email is going to be email@email.com. So if it worked, it should send us back to index.php. If it doesn't, it'll kick out an error. Okay, so we're on index.php. So if we refresh this, yes, it worked. So fname, lname, uname, pwd, email, and admin. Okay, so if you notice here in pwd, that is not what I typed in. I typed in password. So this is the bcrypt hashing algorithm. And this part up here, the 12, that is what we specified the cost as. We said 12. So if we were to change that to like 18 or 20, it would take forever for that to hash that password. Okay, so we are now done with the register page. No, we're not. No, we are not. Okay, so we're going to add something into all of these except for the password fields. So we're going to go mysqli underscore real underscore escape underscore string bracket dollar thing con comma space dollar underscore post, yeah, all that good stuff. And we're going to go ahead and close that out. So that should still be all fine and well. Let me delete this user. Try it again. So basically that stops, or will help stop SQL injection. Submit. Okay, no errors, we're good. We don't need to do that on the password field because it gets hashed and it's not going to view that as code. So we're good. So basically we're taking out, if they were to put in code to try to execute their own SQL command, it's just going to view that as not code and not do anything. So that's a quick and easy way to protect yourself against SQL injection. So now we are done with register.php. And join me in the second video for the login part of this, which will be much easier.